What is up, all you GBA type people? This is Tom. I'm here bringing you guys the very rushed, but gotta get it done, match against Wolfey and the Milwaukee Bewears. Probably about 20 minutes away from leaving. I have a flight out to San Francisco, job stuff, and visiting Gio, gym leader Gio. So probably you'll hear me with him in our battle, maybe, who knows. But this is my match against Wolfey. It's my last access to my microphone before I'm gone for a whole week, so let me go through the team real quick. We see he brings Bronzong, Tangrowth, Reuniclus, Conkeldurr, Entei, and Florges. In the mocks that I had, I definitely saw that Reuniclus, especially Bronzong, Florges, not so much, but Xurkitree came a lot. Zong is pretty much his only check to Scissor and Landorus. Conkeldurr was kind of a big threat, but things like Jellicent, Alolan Muck, Masquerain, Mega Absol, they weren't brought as much, so I kind of had an expectation about how to deal with those. But we see his team is quite slow, potentially a Trick Room team. That's kind of what worked best against me in the mocks. Zong is definitely needs to live the longest out of all of his walls, so to say. He has a good wish support with Florges, and Tangrowth could be, really nice to kind of wall Rotom, potentially check Landorus if it goes for like Earthquake, and then it could obviously pivot out into Bronzong if I try and go for like a Z-Fly or something. But my team this week, I had a lot of checks to Xurkitree, as a matter of fact. So I actually had Choice Scarf Landorus, not a kind of like a Z setup set. I believe it was U-Turn, Knockoff, Earthquake, and Punishment. Punishment was there for Common Reuniclus in case it gets too out of hand. Rotom Wash, I had more of a defensive variant for things like Entei. It was my best check for Mega Absol. It was there for potentially take on Jellicent because it can pressure it out and Volt Switch, something like that. It could also take on Xurkitree to an extent. Obviously, it's not going to do all that much damage, but good chip damage with Hydro Pump. I believe it has a Defog, Hydro, Volt Switch, and Protect. Protect is to mitigate Trick Room turns. We have Choice Bended Scissor, U-Turn Bullet Punch, I believe Superpower, and Knockoff. I was 50-50 between Aerial Ace and Knockoff, mostly because Knockoff was good for something like Reuniclus. I could, if I find out like what his item is, because I saw Life Orb, I saw like Colbur, if I could, but obviously I'm going to U-Turn out or Bug Bite anyway. But Knockoff is also good for things like, it was good for Xurkitree, it was good for Entei potentially. Wanted to come in on like its dual stab, but Aerial Ace was also nice for Conkeldurr in the case I needed it. We have Yachi, Roserade with dual stab, Synthesis, and Sleep Powder. That was also a Zerk check. We have Flame Orb Swallow because once Bronzong's down, most of his team is just Swallow food. Sans like Mach Punch, Conkeldurr, which I am EV'd to take that hit, as well as E-Speed from a Life Orb or Choice Banded Entei from full. So rocks off my side of the field are going to be super important. And then finally, have a very defensive Diancie. It was dual stab, but I ended up changing to Hidden Power Dark just so that I could actually hit the Bronzong. Also, it pops Color Berry so that doesn't, mitigate damage from Landorus or Scissor sometime in the match. I also have Moonblast, Stealth Rock, and Protect also so that I can mitigate Trick Room turns. So we're gonna go into the match. Basically, my thought process, 10 out of 10 times, was basically to lead off with Landorus because I know he is probably going to lead off with Bronzong, and that's pretty much exactly what he's going to end up doing. Now, in my mocks, all my mocks, as a matter of fact, basically, he went for rocks, or who I was battling against went for rocks, and I pretty much thought that was his best, like what he should be doing for his first turn because, getting up rocks allows me to end up he pressures out a lot of my team, and knowing that, I just go for Knockoff to get rid of the Color Berry. I knew he had it. He had to have it. But he does not do that. He goes for Hidden Power Ice. And this is going to do about a good 60% to Landorus. Now, from like one perspective, you could say this is bad. But looking at his team, like, yeah, Landorus is weakened. I don't have a way of getting it healthy. But the problem with Landorus this team, actually, against this team, as compared to my mocks, like, he had Xurkitree. He had responses to come, like, things, a reason for Landorus to be good. And with the combination of Florges, Tangrowth, and Bronzong, Landorus has a really hard time breaking anything, as a matter of fact, or even pivoting on a lot of things, just based on the fact that his team is just like, it's sound with those three to check Landorus pretty well. So a little bit disappointed with Landorus being Scarf, where it did really well in my mock. So we're gonna catch up. He goes for Stealth Rock as I switch out. I go for Defog on as I switch into Reuniclus. Then I go for Hydro to see what type of Reuniclus this is. We see it's bulky. Obviously, Reuniclus has some really good defensive stats. Just set up the Trick Room, and I'm going to do exactly what I did pretty much against Necro too. I'm going to go for Protect and kind of mitigate a lot of Trick Room turns, see what moves he has. He goes for Energy Ball. Unless he's Life Orb, this shouldn't do like 75%. We see he does less than that, and I'm going to go for another Hydro. Force him to like potentially recover, force him to see like, you know, if he was if he did ever recover or not. But he ends up having Citrus Berry, which is, I mean, Wolfey is obviously a VGC player, so berries are common, but seeing that as compared to like Colbur, a little strange. But obviously, you know, if he pops that, the knockoff's not going to do all that much to him. I'm going to go for Protect. Kind of silly because he goes right into Tangrowth as the Trick Room turns end, but I wanted to ensure that I got leftovers back, and I got back over 50%, just so that I could take on Entei if I really need to. I'm going to go for Protect here, and this is going to burn out the last turn of Trick Room in case he goes for something like Solar Beam, in case he goes for something like Giga Drain. I just wanted to ensure that I was faster than this Tangrowth when I could switch out. But what I am going to end up doing after all these after turn effects is I'm going to go for a Volt Switch. I'm going to get out into my... I forgot what I ended up going out into. Actually, I just Hard Switch, just because with the Sunny Day up, I expected potentially... maybe he was like a Chlorophyll set, which eventually I find out that that's what he is, and it's a very interesting set, especially here with the Life Orb. So we see his Chlorophyll Life Orb, and I guess Giga Drain, I didn't want to take the chance that in case he was speed invested to outpace Rotom, I don't want to lose Rotom right there when I kind of do need it for the Reuniclus. I'm going to go for Sludge Bomb because I know for a fact that if Tangrowth is not AV and it's Spadef, no investment Sludge Bomb just kills it, because he pretty much needs AV to live a Sludge Bomb from a non-invested Roserade. Because Stab, obviously, and all, you know, all that other happy horseshit. I get a Poison on the first Sludge Bomb, which is, it's nice because it allows me to chip away at this Entei a little bit quicker. But even with Entei in, my intention here is just to ensure that I can get up rocks. He goes Sacred Fire, and I did initially have Power Gem on this just for the likes, just to get like chip damage off. But as you can see, he gets the Sacred Fire burn on the first attempt, and I knew that in the mocks, like I saw Entei that wasn't shiny and was shiny. I knew if it was shiny Entei, he probably had Sacred Fire, and if it wasn't, I knew that it was probably some sort of like Caliente set or something along those lines. He goes for Iron Head, and I know for a fact I can get my rocks up if he doesn't flinch me, because it really does what it's supposed to do. But of course he flinches me, so that's a little unfortunate. It kind of forced me to kind of sit back and like, how much do I value DNC? I'm going to try and get rocks up in case he does. Actually, I'm sorry, I Protect just to kind of mitigate the Sun turns in case he goes out into Tangrowth. He doesn't. He goes out into Reuniclus. I'm going to get my rocks up because I know I'm faster than Reuniclus, just to ensure that Entei has a harder time coming back in, and I know that he only has Florges to defog hazards away, so I can use that to my advantage. But I also have to ensure that rocks don't come up on my side, so I have to defog them both away. I'd like to keep mine up without him getting his up. But he goes Trick Room again. I am going to go for Protect. I'm going to start just, you know, preventing these Trick Room turns from kind of stacking up. So he's going to be down to about 3 once, well, 3 or 2 depending on when this this DNC ends up going down. But I'm not going, I'm going to get knocked out here by Psychic. I know what he is. I know what his moves are. Obviously, Psychic, Energy Ball, Trick Room. I never saw his last move. I probably think it's Recover, honestly. But I'm going to go out and Rotom again, and like I said, I'm going to mitigate these Trick Room turns and ensure that I can get some leftovers back. I could make sure that I'm faster than a lot of his slow mons, because things like Conkeldurr in Trick Room with like a bulk up set is a huge problem for my team. So I don't want that to become a thing. I don't want Reuniclus to put holes in my team. Obviously Psychic plus Energy Ball is going to be doing a lot of good damage to my team, but I know for a fact that I could like pivot out on this last turn of Trick Room. Obviously it's not going to do all that much, but it means that I can get. And the problem that is his one of the banes for his team, and that's Scizor here. I'm gonna go for just U-turn. I know he has 2 really good switches to U-turn, Florges and Conkeldurr, but I know for a fact that once I get I go for a U-turn, I can get out, and I could ensure that I maintain momentum. Now if I had Aerial Ace on my on this Scizor, Conkeldurr is like super deadsies, because I mean I don't think he would bring Bronzong in against a against the Scizor, but I know for a fact that I could probably, I am faster unless he's of course under Trick Room, and I could just knock it out pretty much from full with an Aerial Ace, because Technician boosted and all that. So I end up going into Swellow on the U-turn as he hard switches into Entei. I'm going to go for U-turn, and what's going to happen is the poison's going to knock him out. So Rose Raid is going to land this kill over Swallow. But again, constantly maintaining momentum, even though at this point, I mean, I'm just going to go into my fastest thing. I'm going to burn the Intimidate, even though the Entei is going to go down just from the poison. So I'm going to move this all along just a little bit. And we're going to see that he ends up going into his Conkeldurr. Now, I know for a fact he's probably going to go for Ice Punch, and I don't really want to go for Earthquake in case he did go into Bronzong or he went into Tangrowth. So I'm going to go for U-turn, and I'm going to switch out, and I'm going to go into Rotom, probably just to take the Ice Punch and take the Mach Punch after this. But instead he ends up going for Bulk Up. So that is, you know, it's smart because he's probably like max HP, max attack with the Trick Room to benefit, you know, him outpacing things. So that means that he's at +1, and this is kind of a problem. I knew he'd go for Mach Punch, but I also knew for a fact that I didn't want to go into Rose Raid because it has, you know, piss defense, and I didn't really want to, you know, be at that point where it would be so low that something else could take it out, you know, later on in the match. Now I go into Swallow here, and +1 Adamant Mach Punch does upwards of 65 to 75% based on my defensive investment, because I knew for a fact that this Swallow needs to be bulky in order to take the priority moves that he was going to go for. So the entire time I'm thinking Guts. Potentially he could be, you know, Iron Fist or Sheer Force. I know for a fact I take this, and you know, if I live this hit, I force Swallow to kill itself with Brave Bird recoil, but at the cost of getting rid of this Conkeldurr. And once Conkeldurr goes down, I can pretty much just U-turn on his entire team. That's pretty much what I'm going for, because I know for a fact he's going to go for Mach Punch. I didn't want to go into Landorus. I knew for a fact a +1 defense with the 8 max HP, with the fact that Conkeldurr is relatively bulky, that he could live in Earthquake and then just go for Ice Punch, and I lose Landorus there, and that loses like my Scarfer and a good pivot for the vast majority of his team. And I don't really want to do that, so I know I'm just going to sack Swallow here. I know I can live this Mach Punch. I know for a fact that I'm going to be able to knock out this thing with a Brave Bird as well as knock myself up. But no! He crits me. He fucking crits me. You gotta be fucking kidding me. I lived that 100% of the time, sans the crit. And right there, along with the flinch, pretty much I'm in a world of problems now, because now I'm just playing with sleep turns and somehow getting into Scissor, which has no moves to hit it super effectively. Landorus has no moves to hit it super effectively. My best thing is Earthquake at this point and Sludge Bomb just to get damage off. But I know for a fact that he has a berry, because why not? Once I lost Swallow, I'm not even going to lie to you guys, I knew I lost, because Swallow was my win con, and Swallow allowed me to get rid of this Conkeldurr. It also allowed me to get rid of Tangrowth if it wasn't under Sunny Day. It allowed me to put up big damage, if not knock out Reuniclus outright. And Bronzong, all I had to do was just like pivot out if rocks weren't up on the field. And no, that's not the case. So I lose Swallow to a pretty important crit, one that pretty much just put the game almost entirely in his favor. But you know what? We're gonna dig deeper into Wolfey's bag of tricks. He ends up going for Hypnosis. And this also causes a problem, because now I have to play around with this. Because for Hypnosis he hits something I never expected, something I never even thought of expecting, because I haven't seen Hypnosis been, you know, used ever. And if I had Aerial Ace here, pretty much I'd just be clicking it to try and wake up, because I knew he wouldn't go into Bronzong unless he saw the Aerial Ace. But I would have, you know, been clicking that. I knew at some point he's going to wake up. He can go for Drain Punch. He has Drain Punch, Mach Punch, Bulk Up, and Ice Punch. So he doesn't have Fire Punch, so he can't outright knock out Scissor, but at like +1 Adamant. Drain Punch is probably going to do upwards like 60 to like 80% or something. I'm just going to go for U-turn and just... like, I couldn't really do much here. Like, if I went for Earthquake and he woke up and went for Ice Punch, I was dead. Like, that's just the bottom line. So I don't really want to do that, and even if he did bulk up and start like setting up my face, like, I didn't know what I could do to stop this. Losing Swallow really did suck. He is gonna go for Ice Punch. He's gonna pop my Yacht Bear. I knew I could live through it and I could put him back to bed and start going for Sludge Bombs, things like that. But instead he does make a smart move. He goes into Bronzong. He lets that go to bed instead of Conkeldurr. So Conkeldurr now can start setting up. And from here on, like, I can't really touch this Bronzong with Rose Raid. I pretty much, you know, was going to rely on like Bug Bite from the CB Scissor to do that, because it was a 2-hit KO at this range. Once the Cobra was popped, it did upwards like 55-65% to max defense Bronzong, and I knew for a fact that he couldn't come in to take like, you know, 2 of them when I pretty much can just go for bug bite, knock that out. I can go for bug bite on Tangrowth. I can go for a bug bite on Conkeldurr if it's below like 70%, so we couldn't switch in on that. And even, I mean, Floor just max defense here. If I just like U-turned out once. Basically, the bottom line is that Swellow, had being alive, would have made this game a little bit more feasible, but at this point, it's not the case. I know for a fact that I'm trying to wake up here, trying to wake up. And am I going to wake up? Do we think he's going to be able to get the wish off? It doesn't matter what I go for, because even if I go for Bullet Punch and he goes into Conkeldurr, I can't knock it out from full with one Bullet Punch, so he is going to get the wish up regardless. But I need to wake up. But I don't wake up. But instead, I have to, like, I think I pretty much just stay in, and I go for U-turn. I could go for Bullet Punch, but I also know that he could just, like, bulk up in my face. I am going to intimidate him just to ensure that he only gets the defense raise. If he went for bulk up, he goes Rain Punch, doesn't do all that much damage. I didn't want him to get that HP back from a pretty healthy Scissor. And right here, I think I just go for Earthquake, or perhaps I go for U-turn. No, I go for Earthquake because at this point I'm just trying to get, I'm getting hasty, I'm getting a little bit, more and more frazzled because the game really hasn't gone in my favor. Really don't know what to do at this point. And he has like a pretty good team composition that he realizes that he can go into Bronzong or Tangrowth on this Landorus, and the way I'm switching out, obviously I'm choiced, but I could also go into Roserade here as he sets up a Sunny Day, which means that he is faster, which now puts a problem on my team, and I believe here he is going to go for an HP Fire, so that's going to knock out Roserade. I'm just skipping along because I really don't have as much time anymore. I'm going to go into Landorus. I believe I'm faster because I am Scarf, so I guess this was a decently nice cover to take on, Tangrowth. He is going to go for HP Fire. It sucks because now Scissor's gone, which means I pretty much lost. But he does knock himself out the Life Orb, so 4-0. Woo! At this point, he goes in the Floor. It doesn't matter what I lock myself into because knockoff meant that Floor could take it. U-turn meant that anything else can take it. Bronzong, Floor whatever, and then Earthquake meant that Bronzong can just come in and go for HP Ice, knock me out. So that's going to be the game. He is going to wish, he's going to protect, gets a little bit of leftovers, Moonblast, knock me out. That's the game. I'm not really pleased with this match. I believe that Wolfey played very well to kind of subvert my expectations. Hypnosis, Bronzong, I mean, who runs that? No one. And Life Orb, Chlorophyll Tangrowth was cool and it worked. But the overall factor is that the crit Mach Punch pretty much sealed the game for him, and that upsets me because you prep and you play, and on my mocks I won like 4-0, 3-0, and 1-0, and the teams that I had built was solid, and I was comfortable with it, and I knew how it worked, and I was going into this match super confident. What I expected did not happen. He did not go for Rocks turn 1. He went for HP Ice, which was surprising to me. I thought he'd go for Rocks first. He didn't. He got the crit Mach Punch. Like, what else am I supposed to do? He got the flinch through the Iron Head. Obviously I got the poison chance, but what are you gonna do, right? So we got to regroup. This is an L that I pretty much couldn't take, especially after having so much momentum from the previous week. But I pretty much have to win out from here on. I have Gator, I have Geo, I then go John, Aster, Necro, Mono. If I lose any more of like 2 of those games, I'm pretty much out of playoff contention, especially if I lose to Gator, especially if I lose to John or Mono, because then at that point, I'm already behind Wolfey in terms of win-loss for the playoffs. If I lose to Gator or John, I'm pretty much behind them too, just based on record, the fact that they're winning, the fact that they have guys that they're easily winning against, and me, I'm just fucking dropping games here. So I'm upset at myself. I'm gonna get knocked and shit on for playing like an idiot or building a bad team, whatever. That's the game we play. The game decided for me that I wasn't worthy of getting a W here, so that's the game. GG to Wolfey. I'm obviously a little bit upset because I expected more out of the team. I expected more of myself, and I expect to win and the prep to actually function the way I think it does. So we're gonna go into next week against Gator. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is gonna be a super hasty video, so yeah, that's it. Bye.